Okay, notes for section 1.5 is over using formulas in geometry. The objective for this lesson is to apply formulas for perimeter, area, and circumference. Here are your words that you will be learning throughout this section. A lot of these we have already heard of, I'm sure. Perimeter, area, circumference, diameter, stuff like that. So now we're going to apply them for geometry though. So the first definition is perimeter. Perimeter of a plane, we're going to call it P. So in your notes, go ahead and write perimeter / P, is the sum of the side lengths. So on any figure, any plane figure that has sides, so a circle does not have a side, any sided figure, you just add up the sides for a perimeter. Okay, the next one, and your first buzzword, is area. Area / A is just the square units of a shape. So if we have a square, it's what this basically is saying, the non-overlapping square units of a given size that exactly cover the units, cover the figure. That's just the square units of the shape. We all know what area is. Area is what covers the shape. Okay, so please make sure you have these formulas down for each rectangle, square, and triangle. Rectangle and square we probably all remember. You add up all four sides for the perimeter, and for the area you just multiply the two sides together. For an area, length times width, or square, side times side. So real quick on area, you could write side squared or side times side. That's what side squared is. So if it's easier though to think of it in this way, that's fine. So a rectangle, to find the perimeter, you have two ways to do it. Double the two sides and the two widths, and then add those together, or you could add the length and width, multiply by 2, or you could just do L plus W plus L plus W. It does not really matter. For the area, length times width, back to the square, we have perimeter equals 4 times S, or S plus S plus S plus S. And then for area, we have S squared. For triangle, make sure you know how to do this one. Again, the perimeter is just as easy as the other two. You just add up the three outsides. But for the area, you have to take 1/2 times the base times the height. Notice the base can be any side of the triangle. But the height, it's going to correspond with whatever the height is. So because the height goes to this side, this is your base. If they would have drawn your height like this, C would be your base. But for this problem, go ahead and draw this diagram down in your notes with B as the base, H as the height. Notice the height has a right angle. So the base B can be any side of a triangle, as we just said. The height H is a segment from a vertex that forms a right angle with the line containing the base. So basically, you just take your angle right here and you go straight line down to the opposite side. So because this is going to this side, this is the base. So notice these three different diagrams. And also real quick, your second buzzword is base. Please have these three diagrams in your notes. This shows the three different cases of where H is. So on this first one, we're going to say H is a side. So when H is a side, it's going to look like this. So notice this is on the side. So this is where it forms the right angle is your height. So here it's on the side. Over here we're going to say H is inside. So notice H is inside the triangle. Makes sense? And over here H is outside. Outside of the triangle. So if your point goes way over here and it's not above the base, the straight line down still forms a 90 degree. If I would have drawn a side like this here to there, that would not form a 90 degree angle anywhere on this side. So you're going to have to go over here. A lot of the times we're going to see these two cases, but there is a third one, so don't be surprised if that shows up. Okay, next, perimeter is expressed in linear units such as inches or meters. Area is expressed in square units. So when you're labeling something, if you're finding the perimeter of something, your answer is going to say, let's say it's 25, is going to be 25 inches. If you're finding the area, let's say it's 30, the area is going to be 30 inches squared. So make sure you're using correct units on your answers as well. Okay, so first they want us to find the perimeter and the area of each figure. I'm going to go ahead and use the formula that they use and say perimeter equals 2W plus 2L. Or, again, notice the tick marks. Because this has a 1 tick mark, that means all other lines that have a 1 tick marks to show that those are congruent. So now I've got 2W, 2 times 4 plus 2 times 6. We have 8 plus 12. So we have 20. Don't forget our units. So the perimeter is 20 inches. Now we need to find the area. Area equals W times L. So we're just going to put W is 4, L is 6. Multiply those together, we get 24. And our units are inches again, but inches squared. Okay, this one we have a triangle. They want us to find the perimeter. Is A plus B plus C. So I take my A, I'm going to use this is A, this is B, and this is C. Perimeter is going to be x plus 4 plus 5x. Switch them up. So plus 6 plus 5x. Okay, combine all my terms. I got an x and an x, so I have 6x. 4 and 6 make 10. They don't give me any units, so I can't put any units. 6x plus 10. That is your perimeter. Okay, now we're going to find the area. This one, make sure you're distributing everything correctly. So I have 1/2 plus area equals 1/2 base times height. So my base was 6, and my height was x plus 4. I'm going to combine these two first. This gives me 3, and then this gives me x plus 4. And we're going to finish distributing, so we've got 3x plus 12. So that is our area. If they gave us inches, we would put 3x plus 12 inches squared. But since they don't give us anything, we can't put a label on this one. Okay, so our next word is diameter. The diameter is the segment that passes through the center of the circle and whose endpoints are on a circle. Your third buzzword is radius, and for that you can just put it's half the diameter. You're all familiar with circles, at least to the basic extent of what a diameter and a radius is. So the one that goes all the way across is the diameter. The one that just goes halfway through is the radius. Circumference, which may be not as familiar with, is this green circle is the circumference. So if I started here and I walked all the way around, that would be the circumference. So go ahead and put this diagram in your notes as well, marking the diameter, radius, and the circumference all in the same circle. Okay, and here are your two formulas that you're going to be needing for the circumference and area. So we're going to say circumference slash C of a circle is going to be the formula. Go ahead and have these two formulas written down. C equals pi times d, or C equals 2 pi r. So again, since radius is half of a diameter, if they give me that diameter, I can just use that. This 2 pi r means if I have the radius, I just double it, and that's the same thing. That's why these two things are equivalent. Area for the circle is pi r squared. So make sure we are familiar with both of these. If it helps you to remember, when you're finding the area of a circle, you're finding, again, area is a square unit. So you're going to be using this squared one. When you're finding the circumference, you're not finding the square, so you don't use the square. So notice the difference between this all has a pi, a 2, and an r in it, and this has a pi, a 2, and an r. So area, you always find the square of something, so you square it. Here, you don't square it, so just bring the 2 back down, and that's your equation. All right, and then what's supposed to be in these little boxes is the letter, or the symbol pi. The ratio of a circle to its diameter is the same for all circles. This ratio is represented by the Greek letter pi. The value of pi is irrational. It goes on forever and ever and ever. Pi is often approximated, though, as 3.14 or 22 over 7. Please make sure you get both of these written down. 3.14 we're probably familiar with as pi. 22 over 7 is another form of what we can use for pi. If you take 22 divided by 7 in your calculator, you're going to get 3.14285. So it's the same thing pretty much as 3.14. The benefit when we use 22 over 7 is that would give us something to cancel out fractions with if that came up. All right, so your last example is to find the circumference and area of a circle with radius 8 centimeters. Use this is going to mean to say pi key on your calculator, then round answer to the nearest tenth. So what I'm going to do first is find the circumference. Circumference equals pi 2 pi r. I'm going to go ahead and use the 2 pi r one since they give me the radius. I'm not going to they don't give me the diameter, so I'm going to use this one. So this equals 2 times pi times 8. I'm going to combine the 2 and the 8 since I'm multiplying. This just becomes 16. And then I put the pi on the end. This is just like an x in a variable. So you always put the x on the end, so you always put the pi on the end. So now if I multiply this in, 16 pi, I hit my pi button on my calculator. If you don't have, you should by now have a calculator with pi on it because it has the cosine and tangent and all that stuff that we're going to use later on in the semester. You should have one that has pi. If not, go ahead and use 3.14. When I get this, I'm going to write my answer to the nearest tenth. So the answer that comes out in your calculator is 50.26548 blah 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 blah. They want you to round to the nearest tenth. The reason to do that is so we don't have to put that in our answer all the time. So when I round, I'm going to say to the 10th place. That means to the first decimal. I'm going to draw my line here. I look at the next number, and this 6 tells me to take this 2 to make it a 3. So our answer is going to be approximately 50.3 for the circumference. And the unit is centimeters, so 50.3 centimeters. What this little squiggly line means, it means approximately. So this equal sign means that this is the for sure definite answer. This approximate sign means that we've rounded. So this just means that this is not the technical definition or the technical answer. This would be more of the technical answer brought out all the way to the 10th or decimals and decimals and decimals. But since we don't have time and the space to write all these decimals out since it continues on, we just use this approximated sign. Okay, so next we're going to find the area. Area is pi r squared. We've got pi, we've got 64. Let me go ahead and write that as 8 squared. This is the same as 64 pi. Again, put your pi at the end of your answer. And then we're going to approximate 64 pi. And that's going to be about 201.1. And that's it.